Hey everybody, this is Aaron Hilliard. Welcome to Mushroom Wonderland. I'm heading into the woods to forage some wild mushrooms, particularly lobster mushrooms, and I'm going to show you an easy recipe for spicy pickled lobster mushrooms. Going to be delicious. Follow me on this episode of Mushroom Wonderland.
Welcome to Mushroom Wonderland.
I hope your summer is going well. If you're out in the West and you're a mushroom forager, you're probably kind of bummed out. This is maybe the worst time of year for foraging for wild mushrooms. West of the Rockies is typically super dry during the summertime, whereas the eastern seaboard and the Midwest gets a lot of rain and storms. Us in Washington, the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, and California, it's really dry and crunchy. A lot of forest fires going on. But there are some mushrooms still growing in the woods, and we'll talk about what kind of mushrooms to be looking out for in the future here. Me and Gunnar are just walking down the trail, and right here, right on the trail, I see something very unique looking, very bright. This right here is evidence of lobster mushrooms. This is Hypomyces lactifluorum, and it's a parasitic fungi that's growing on a host, and they can grow just right here on the side of the trail. Lobster mushrooms can be found here in the dead of summertime. Now, these aren't the prettiest specimens, but they call it a lobster mushroom because it's orange, just like lobster. Inside is going to be nice white flesh. It looks kind of like lobster meat, right? Oftentimes I don't get that kind of fishy smell, but I think when they get a little bit older, they can really develop a seafood kind of smell. I have a feeling we'll probably find some better specimens than this, but man, these are tough, dry mushrooms. They don't seem to really need a lot of rain to start popping up. We're gonna go looking for more of these and maybe some chanterelles, and we'll chat along the way. We do still have some pretty moist areas here in the upper left corner of the country. Next weekend I'll be out at the ocean, near ocean shores, and this time of year I have found awesome diversity of mushrooms out there, just right along the shoreline, just in from the dunes where the dew collects on the trees and drips all over everything. There's tons of mushrooms this time of year last year up there, so excited to go up there and probably make a little video and mess around up on the coast. And then weekend after this, I'm headed to Telluride, Colorado, so I'm super stoked. Telluride Mushroom Festival is a world famous, maybe the biggest and wackiest mushroom festival in America, and it happens in the middle of August up high up in the hills of Telluride, Colorado. All the who's who's in the mushroom world are going to be there, so I'm excited to go there and hang out with all of these people and just immerse myself in mushrooms and the culture and everything. And of course, I'm going to make a few videos about that, so stay tuned for my adventure to Telluride, where I just drive out there, camp, cook, forage, hang out with cool people, and I'm going to document it all here on Mushroom Wonderland. Oh boy, fell behind. Don't hurt yourself there, pal. He's got arthritis, so he's limping pretty good on his right wrist there. He's on CBD, and he's on, I can't think of the name of it, but vet prescribed anti-inflammatory. Seems to help a little bit, but I mean, he's happy. He just can't really go as far as he used to, so he still loves being out here in the woods. I do notice that the days are starting to get shorter, and I love that because that means fall is approaching. I like a good couple weeks of hot summer, but enough is enough. I'm ready for fall. You know what I mean? Hit that like button if you're ready for fall. Oh man, I see a little hint of orange peeking out at me. So we're gonna have a closer look here. This is an area where I know lobster mushrooms grow. So western hemlock right here. You can tell the western hemlock because it has different size needles. It has a few different size needles, and it's called Tsuga hedrophylla, meaning different size leaves or needles. And the tips are droopy. They're soft, and they have a million little tiny cones. And that's mainly all that's right here. Western hemlock. There's some thimbleberry right here, and some alder trees. But these are a mycorrhizal mushroom, so definitely growing with the western hemlock. And I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see this. All right, right down here, I see this little bit of orange peeking out at me. Very, very slight, but look at this as I push the duff back. Look at that. There you go. Hypomyces lactifluorum, and it's sporulating. Look at that, all those white spores. A spindle-shaped spore that's coming from the Hypomyces. So not from the host. The host isn't making spores. Only the parasite that's turning this bright orange and just crazy looking. And this thing is dirty looking and nasty, but I'm telling you, this is a really good specimen right here. It's very firm, very solid, very moist, despite it being dry out here. So they're getting moisture from the soil and from the trees. And oh my gosh, I think I see a shrimp right here. Man, these things hide. Look at this. Look at that, a lobster shrimp. Let me get under there. Look at that. Would you look at it? Just look at it. Okay, but the gills are completely encrusted in the parasite, and that's a great specimen. So this is a symbiosis. This is actually a parasitism. A symbiosis would suggest that they're both benefiting, but really it seems that the parasite's the only one that really benefits this, and so it's a secondary fungi that's growing on the host, which is the Russula brevipes. That's a large, boring, kind of white colored mushroom that grows everywhere here in the Pacific Northwest, and it's really common across the country actually. And then it gets parasitized sometimes by Hypomyces lactifluorum and turns it orange and contorts it, covers all the gills up, and turns it into this delectable, edible culinary treat, even though it looks kind of crazy. This is a beautiful mushroom, beautiful couple of lobster mushrooms that I would have just easily walked right by. Hiding very, very good, but you know, sometimes they'll just be poking out, obvious for you to see, like that one back there on the trail. That's what we call a flag. And then these guys are, you know, after a little investigation, you start to see more and more. All right, I put these into my mesh bag. I keep this mesh bag in my backpack just because I like to be a little bit discreet in some areas, and I don't really want everyone wondering what's in my basket. Gotta give away your spots. There's a lot of different ways that you can cook a lobster mushroom. They're actually pretty unique in texture, like a lot of the Russula mushrooms. It's kind of crunchy. Lobster mushroom would probably be a great one to pickle, so I definitely want to try that. Ooh, as we're coming up the trail, look at this, winking at me. Just right here. Really obvious for anyone to see. And there's another one. Another beautiful lobster mushroom just growing on the side of the trail. Oh, these are really nice. Look at those. These are awesome. Oh man, another one right there. Look at that. These are like buttons. Lobster buttons. How nice is that? Look at these. Beautiful mushrooms. So how cool, you know? These will form little shrimps. But I don't particularly like tearing up all the moss. I just look for a little flash of that orange peeking out at me, like these were doing. And look at that. Pristine lobster mushroom buttons. A little bit more mature one, but these are awesome. Really nice right now this time of year. August 1st, finding beautiful lobster mushrooms in Western Washington. So next time you're out walking in the woods, just slow down. You might notice this bright flash of orange, and pay attention to this landscape here. You know, it's pretty diverse, a lot of different bushes and plants, but there's this speckled sunlight that's able to come in, and I often find that's where I find lobster mushrooms, is where I see sunlight able to penetrate the canopy, which means there's usually this wild blackberry here in the Pacific Northwest. Don't worry, it's not poison ivy. A lot of people in the comments, is that poison ivy? No, this is wild blackberry, and it likes that kind of speckled sunlight, mossy forest floor. So this combination of sun and moss, which is, you know, a moist area that's still getting some airflow and some sunshine, some warmth, you know, that's usually where I'm finding lobster mushrooms. Also sword fern usually in the area. These bracken ferns, or the wood fern, you know, these ones that you used to pick as a kid and use as a sword. Yeah. These are everywhere where I find lobsters every time. So some of the indicators: wild blackberry, sword fern, bracken fern, and you know, salal. This is a common plant that grows all over the Northwest. They use it for floral arrangements and stuff. They like the young green leaves, kind of like that, and I guess they put it in bouquets and stuff. That one's not very Nice. Oh god. And there's sort of a eerie kind of reddish hue to the sun right now, and it's due to all this wildfire smoke. So not only does lobster mushroom really have no lookalikes, there's nothing else growing out here. So if you find a mushroom and it's bright orange, you're almost like guaranteed that it's a lobster mushroom. Maybe a chicken of the woods if it's growing on a log, which would also be pretty sweet. Once we get through this dry hellscape that is August, that means September, and that's when I start heading into the Cascades, getting into some elevation around here. And if you can get up there into the Cascade Mountains, porcini, hericium, all kinds of mushrooms, rainbow chanterelles and stuff start popping up there at the higher elevations around 4,000 feet in early September. So not much longer to wait to find awesome mushrooms if you're down to spend a little bit of gas money, take a Saturday and head for the hills. Unless you live up there, then you already know, and I don't have to tell you, but thanks for watching anyways. Chanterelles. Those are some dried up little summer nugs. Look at that, but definitely dried out. It's about as big as they get before they start drying out, getting moldy. You see that? There's mold on these. So people are like, you're picking them too small. In the summer, when they fruit in the summer like this, they don't often get much bigger than this before they start to get moldy and get gross. Don't eat moldy food. So I'm just gonna put these back and just kind of leave them there. I recently did microscopy and they do produce spores even at that age, which is cool. So those are putting off some spores and they'll continue to for a while, but you know, I don't eat moldy mushrooms. Look at that, here's more coming out from under this western hemlock root. And as you can see, green mold all over. So yeah, don't eat moldy mushrooms. Look at that. You could definitely get sick from that. So leave these ones behind. They're producing spores. Look, here's some more. So chanterelles are out and they have a fruiting, you know, usually early July. Last couple years, I've even seen them popping up in June, but they kind of typically recede until the rains return in, you know, late September, early October. So this is that early summer fruiting, and they've reached their lifespan and they just start to mold and get yucky. This dude found a swamp down here that he's swimming in. You been swimming? That's good, buddy. Gotta cool down. It's super humid out here. It's like 80 degrees and really humid. So yeah, he found a wetland down there. And look right here. This is a nice forest delicacy this time of year. The red huckleberries. These are a little bit tart. We have a couple of types of huckleberry that grow around here, but these ones are really, really fruiting like crazy right now. When they're big and dark colored, they're the sweetest, but these are pretty tart, but they're still good and they're refreshing. Yum. Dang, we're in some rugged stuff, huh, buddy? You can see why we have forest fire problems. Look at all of this dry fuel just laying everywhere. I mean, if this place lit on fire, it's just going up. Last year's lobster mushroom season seemed to be better than this one. I'm still finding them, but they're far and few between. Last year, they were everywhere this time of year. So if you just started mushroom foraging last year, you got spoiled because it was like the most epic mushroom season ever up here in the Northwest. So you don't base every year on that year. You're going to be disappointed. So if you got mushroom fever, here's a couple of suggestions. If it's dry in your area, if you're here in the Northwest, firstly, go to the coast. In August, out at the coast, underneath the dripping pine trees there, right along the edge of the dunes, you can find tons of Russula, tons of lobster mushrooms, chanterelle, hedgehog, all kinds of mushrooms grow out at the coast in August in Washington. So, and same as Oregon, British Columbia, Northern California. Go to where the moisture is. So that's going to be out at the coast first. And then shortly after that, the elevations high in the mountains is when it starts to rain up there. It's like fall starts to come a little bit early up in the higher elevations and works its way down. So, you know, I'm out at the coast in August, towards the end of August. Well, I'm going to be in Telluride, Colorado, which is amazing mushroom habitat at like 10,000 feet. But then I head to the mountains. I head up to the passes, the mountain passes, like by the ski resorts. And it starts raining up there late summer, Whereas still dry and hot down here, up in the mountains, you're gonna start finding mushrooms, and then they'll start showing up in the lowlands as it gets rainier down here. But that's the way I do it. I go ocean, mountains, lowlands. We got a nice handful of mushrooms. We're gonna head back, make some nice spicy pickled lobster mushrooms. This is gonna be amazing. Let's go to the kitchen. All right, we made it back to the kitchen with our lobster mushrooms. I'm gonna show you how to make some spicy, quick pickled lobster mushrooms. Yeah, pickled mushrooms, so delicious. So check out this quick recipe, super easy, super delicious. First thing I'm gonna do is get all my lobsters out of the bag. And there's a lot of dirt mixed in there, so I'm going to cut off the stumps and I'm going to wash these off really well under the faucet. And you can do this with most mushrooms, but especially lobster mushrooms can handle a good washing. So spray them out. I get them wet. The dirt comes off pretty easy once they're wet. I'm going to fill a pot with some water and get that boiling so I can slice and then blanch my mushrooms. I say blanch, but really I'm going to boil them for about 5 or 6 minutes so that they are fully cooked. Now I'm going to start making the brine by using 2 cups of water. I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of distilled white vinegar. I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of salt. I'm going to use a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 2 bay leaves, 2 cloves of garlic, a teaspoon of black pepper, some greens of a garden fresh onion. I have the mushrooms boiling nicely, and I have my brine over here cooking up nice, getting all those flavors together. Now I'm going to strain out my lobster mushrooms, and I'm going to put them into a nice jar that can seal up tight. Then I'm going to add the brine right to those mushrooms. I'm going to tighten the lid, and I am going to put these in the fridge for at least 4 hours. All right, I got my pickled lobster mushrooms here. They've been marinating for about 7 hours. 4 hours is probably enough, but I have a nice crispy pork chop dinner, and I'm gonna have some of these kind of accompanying it on the side. So I'm gonna give it the official taste test. Wow, they smell so good. So they're a little bit soft from that blanching. Oh my gosh. Wow. Those are an amazing, amazing texture. They're not as crunchy as a lot of the cooked Russula that I've tried. Just marinating them in that vinegar just kind of softens them and breaks them down a little bit. And I just love vinegary foods, so this is just absolutely amazing. Pickled lobster mushrooms, they have a little kick of spice. So tangy and delicious. So if you're finding lobster mushrooms, I suggest you try this recipe. Just serve them cold with your dinner as a side dish, and they are so good. So thanks for joining me on this episode. Gonna keep coming with the videos. I love the forage and cook style videos, so this one's especially good. They all are, but this one is really, really good. Spicy pickled lobster mushrooms. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe and go get yourself some lobster mushrooms and try this recipe out. I'm telling you, it is exquisite. So good. All right, we'll see you guys on the next video. Much love, everyone. Peace out.